Recently, I have focused my attention on scammers in the African American community. And for some of these guys, they are easy to figure out. They got a lot of gold on, taking pictures by cars, they're taking pictures in private jets. That's pretty common. Or the second clue is they're typically associated with B1 talking points, Back to Africa talking points. Some of them may even resemble Elijah Muhammad. But for that case, that's also pretty easy to figure out, because they'll start talking about astronomies, metaphysics, aliens, all of those different things that don't lead anything, and then they'll try to be a life coach. But very few scammers have legitimate degrees. Most of them don't. They've never been to college. They've been to the college of the conscious community. But what happens when you get somebody legitimate like Boyce Watkins? You see, because Boyce Watkins is every bit of legitimate that legitimate can be. He has a PhD, I believe, from the Ohio State University. He's taught at many universities across the United States, including Syracuse, and also prestigious ones in Europe like the University of Munich. Hey, the guy has credentials, but could Dr. Boyce Watkins be labeled a scammer? Well, that's left up for debate, but I want to talk about something that Boyce Watkins did the other night. Boyce Watkins had a live stream called Dr. Boyce Exposed. Ask me any question and I'll answer. And of course, it was a live stream dedicated to his audience, but I want you to listen to his nonchalant or passive-aggressive sales pitch to one of these subscribers.
Next, let's see here. Me and my father keep missing opportunities to enroll. I cannot wait to join. Enroll in what I don't know what you like to enroll in, Dupree, but if you go to boycewatkins.com, there's so many discounts that on stuff that we offer. We'd love to do everything for free. We'd love to just offer everything 100% free, but we can't do that. And the reason we can't do that is because when you start a business where you're trying to do something like this, you know, the most radical thing a black man can do is not, to be a gangster rapper, because they want you to do that. They want you to destroy your community. The most radical thing you could do is to not go into politics or whatever. The most radical thing a black person can do is really to educate the masses on financial literacy topics. And I, have taught at the University of Kentucky, Indiana University, Syracuse University, the Ohio State University. I've taught in China. I've taught in parts of Africa. I've taught all around the world. And my goal with all that knowledge is not to just have it sit in my brain. I want it to connect to everybody. I want black economic intelligence to literally be just a standard household theme. I want this to be the thing. I want this to be as common as black people playing basketball, as common as black people, dancing, playing football, and black people rapping. Right. And so really, if we had the right kind of sponsor, we could do it all for free. But the problem is that we can't take money from everybody. So we had to build this with our bare hands, with money from my paycheck. I got my truck repossessed when I first got started. I kid you not, because I was like, I'd rather build this business than to have a truck. So I just literally stayed back when I was in Syracuse. I was in my townhouse, spending every penny I got on that paycheck on sort of saying, okay, how do I reach more people? Because at Syracuse, I was teaching 30 students a semester in a classroom. But I said, if I use the internet, I can reach 30,000 people. And so the challenge is that even though we charge a lot less than universities charge, like at Syracuse, my students had to pay like over $70,000 a year to attend that school. That's way too much. Most of the black students I taught at Syracuse are still in debt 20 years later. So what we did was we reduced the prices of everything to the point where you spend a fraction of what you spent in college, but it's 100 times better. If you ask any student in the Black Business School, or we do surveys, and most of you say that you learn more from us for free or for low cost than you did in college. Give me a yes if you agree. And so that's the model we wanted. That's the one that works. And the reason we can't do everything for free is because we don't want big corporate sponsors, because big corporate sponsors require you to be politically correct, even if it's not even if it's not true, right? Even if it's not beneficial to the black community. I don't want to fit into political correctness. I want to say the things that are actually true.
Now, for 3 minutes, you've heard Dr. Boyce Watkins go on and on and on about why he can't make his courses free. and that's why he needs to get people to pay for them. He went on a lot of different tangents right there in that explanation. And for some of you, it may feel that, you know what, he cares. He really cares about black people. He doesn't want the government to be involved. He's really trying to give this information. But just think about that. Dr. Boyce Watkins, who's educated at all of these prestigious universities for undergrad and even postdoc level, and all of these things, still makes bad decisions with giving advice. Now, let's talk about some of the courses. The courses that he has cost a lot of money. Now, some of them are free, I will give you that. But let's look at the Great Pro Speakers course. Learn how to build a six-figure income. That one is $1,999. There's another course, the Black Business School Premium Package. That's $2,499. And there are other courses that are being sold from Dr. Boyce Watkins. But I want to ask you a question. Would you pay somebody to lose money? I know that sounds crazy, but I want to know, would you pay somebody to lose money? That's exactly what black people did when it came to the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. We literally, as a community, some of us paid to lose money. And that's what happened to Mr. Julian Gordon. He spent over $40,000. But I want you to listen to what he had to say about it.
I wanted to give the fund a chance despite its rocky start. As a fellow real estate developer, I know that real estate funds need 3 to 5 years to bear fruit in terms of dividends, monthly cash flows, and appreciation. The Tulsa Real Estate Fund started in June of 2018, so we have reached the 5-year mark. My capital is patient. However, the Form 1K filed recently on June 21st, 2023 for the period ending December 31st, 2021 was alarming. It showed that Treff Titanic is likely on the verge of sinking into bankruptcy unless it gets bailed out by debt or additional investment, with the fund only having $772,372 in cash left of the original $11.5 million invested. That filing was over 18 months ago, so it may already be too late for Treff investors to recoup anything. I've already written off my $40,000 investment to zero. Based on my research, it appears that the only person who has truly benefited from Treff is Jay Morrison himself.
Now, I know you're probably going to ask, what does Boyce Watkins have to do with this? Well, let's check out this clip and we'll find out.
You know, this is the way we're supposed to be. This is our natural state of existence. You know, this is a special time. This is history. And this is our opportunity to do all the things that we're going to brag about when we're all old and gray and gathering in this same spot 40 years from now. Remember back when we were young and fly and sharp and everything else, and we're going to be like, see all these billions that's out here, young people, we built all of this. We did all of this, and it started back in 2018, back a long time ago. So Jay called me up and we were talking on the phone, and he said, I want to create this fund. And so, you know, I'm not gonna lie, you know, I'd seen other fundraising efforts in the community that didn't quite meet the smell test, if you know what I'm talking about. Ain't saying no names, ain't talking about nobody's business. It's always positive. And I felt that was a problem. It's a dangerous thing because trust is a real issue in our community. You know, we really don't trust each other. And it's kind of fascinating that we trust white people more than we trust each other, because white people have been the ones that's been killing us and lynching us and raping us and castrating us, but we give them our trust, but we don't trust each other. It's kind of crazy. You know, just so you know, we all a little bit crazy. At least I know I am. And so when he told me about the fund, I just, you know, started asking questions. And, you know, and my questions aren't easy questions. You know, my PhD is in finance. You know, I taught college students this stuff for a long time. So I asked some pretty detailed questions, some pretty tough questions. Jay answered them all. Boom, boom, boom. SEC approval. Boom, boom. Oh, we're going to set it up this way and do this and this. And I was listening, and my instinct said, okay, he's really, really thought this through. He's really laid this out. This is going to be nice. This infrastructure is solid. And I immediately gained faith in what Jay was doing. You know, I said, okay, you know what? I'll back you. Let me know what I can do. Let me know how I can help.
You see, Boyce Watkins said he looked at this fund and then everything seemed to be okay. But the brother that you just saw lost $40,000, and there's evidence that the fund is going to bankruptcy. But when Dr. Boyce Watkins was confronted about his mistake, here's how he responded.
Y'all do understand that when a black man, especially one with a criminal record, has to defend himself, with the feds, it's going to cost millions, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to do that. Y'all do understand that just the mere scrutiny, just the mere racial profiling of a Black-owned business can destroy the business. Do y'all get that? Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying. So I'm not sitting here saying that the Tulsa Fund was perfect. I'm not sitting here saying Jay Morrison's perfect. I don't know. I just know him as a friend. I know that I invested in the Tulsa Fund. I'm happy with my investment because I love the crown jewel. The crown jewel of the investment was the Black House down in Atlanta. It's a beautiful building. Most people that have negative things to say about, say, Jay Morrison have never built a building for Black people. They've never raised millions of dollars for Black people. They've never done anything significant other than talk on their YouTube channel or try to get people to donate to their GoFundMe account. And if you wanted to just sort of be petty about it, you could say, well, you're asking people to give you money in exchange for nothing. What are they getting? They're getting your content. Well, that's anybody can talk on YouTube, right? So if I want to call someone a scam for having an investment that doesn't make as much money as we thought, maybe my investment goes from $1,000 to $800, then that would mean that if I am asking you to give to my GoFundMe, that means if you give me $1,000, I'm giving you nothing back. That's a negative 100% ROI. That's the worst investment imaginable because that's charity. That's just, giving money and you giving me nothing back except a bunch of talking, right? So if you really want to talk about scamming, I don't know. Give me a yes if you follow what I'm saying. If I really wanted to be nasty and say, oh, you're scamming people, well, what's the bigger scam than to ask people to give you money where you're giving them nothing in return? Like what if Jay Morrison did that? What if Jay Morrison said, invest in the Tulsa Fund and I'll give you $0 back. Right? I'll give you nothing back. I'll do an Umar Johnson with you and you'll donate to a school that will never be built. That's where I think it's a slippery slope for us to just start getting into the whole idea that because your business did not work out or because I don't like the way you do business or whatever, that you're automatically a scammer. I think that that's a little bit problematic. I think that those who, again, there are pretty much really two categories of people that might be critical of the Tulsa Fund. One would be those who invested and then those who didn't invest. And typically what's interesting is that the people who don't want to support are the ones who do the most talking. The ones who didn't put a nickel into it are the ones who are the professional trolls. I call them the Negro naysayers. The Negro naysayers are people who find a problem for every solution. The Negro naysayers are the people who find any Black person trying to do something positive and they nitpick. You ain't right. You ain't doing that right. I don't like that. You a scammer. You doing it. You doing that. Black people can't build nothing. Black people. But yet that same person, that same Negro naysayer, they won't typically go after white people. Maybe they'll go after white Republicans because the Democratic Party gives them permission to do that. Maybe they'll go after, a couple of white people just to try to make a point. But the majority of their attacks, give me a yes if you know people like this, the majority of their attacks are on other Black people who are close to them. They're kind of like gangbangers. They're like intellectual gangbangers. I'm going to roll up on anybody in my community that I think is even trying to do something. Excuse me. And I'm going to pick apart every little thing that they do. And I'm going to pick it apart so bad that I'm going to destroy every single thing that's happening in that space.
You see, Boyce Watkins wants you to spend money with him, no doubt, but he doesn't want you to be accountable for any mistake he makes when spending your money with him. Because all he's going to tell you if he makes any mistake is, why don't you go and check white businesses? Why are you policing Black businesses? What are you doing wondering about what we're doing in the Black community when you should be worrying about white people? Well, why are you not doing anything in the community? Why are you worrying about what I'm doing in the community? And you see, that last rant was so ridiculous, even people on Boyce Watkins' channel couldn't believe it. Listen to this. A commenter says, Boyce Watkins, I don't watch YouTube because I have better things to do, though I'm on YouTube all day. This other person says, I'm trying my best, but at this point, it is clear that Boyce is insane. This other person goes, Boyce really thinks we are stupid. This other person goes, Boyce, you have a finance PhD and you invested in the fund, but you don't know if it's losing money or not. This is deeply concerning. This is another person with a comment. Dr. Boyce, this was a terrible rebuttal. All you did was deflect. Just because a person is Black alone is not a reason to blindly invest in them. Shaking my head. So the question is this: if Dr. Boyce Watkins loves you enough to lead you astray into the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, what sense would it make for you to buy a course from him? I can tell you one thing, For sure, it doesn't. You are absolutely wasting your time, because if anything happens, he will not be liable for your losing money and for anything happening to you. He's gonna tell you you should be worried about white businesses and stop policing black businesses. Can you press 1 in the comment section for that? He'll say something crazy like that. And this is why people like Dr. Boyce Watkins must be held accountable for black people who work hard all day in the African American community losing their money due to alleged scam practices or others. If you're going to invest your money in anything or get consulting advice from anybody, they should never recommend a fund to you from a person who is a scammer like Jay Morrison, a person who is a fraudulent person like Jay Morrison, a person who has never ran a fund like Jay Morrison. That just goes to show you the level of integrity that Boyce Watkins has. And in my honest opinion, he doesn't have very much at all. And I know people will say, well, you're coming after Boyce, as a black man, come after the black man. No, Boyce Watkins needs to be accountable for his decision making as he's leading our people down the wrong path. People work hard for their money, and folks like Dr. Boyce Watkins needs to be accountable for what he has to say and stop deflecting when he's in the wrong. That's the reality. And then trying to make it as, you have to pay for this course because we can't make it free, but you're not going to get any value for your money if he's making decisions like that. If Boyce Watkins will make that decision for you to lose your money in Tulsa real estate fund where blacks lost millions of dollars, he will do it for his own self also. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of Celebrity Junk. I appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe, hit the bell. We're out.